This morning I sat out on my porch, watching the fog slowly peel itself away from the trees, and it hit me all at once. I am 80 years old. In this little house, the quiet doesn't feel like empty air anymore. It feels like a room full of echoes. Over 8 decades, I've watched the world reinvent itself again and again. But what has marked me more than the changing world is the leaving of people. My parents, my brothers and sisters, my oldest friends, and the person I was sure would be holding my hand in my final moments. They're all gone now. At this age, you start to feel like a ghost wandering through a world that now belongs to the young. You watch them hurry, panic, obsess over things that, from where I sit, look no bigger than grains of sand. They ask, "What's it like?" Or they just stare with quiet pity, as if being the last one still here is nothing but a tragedy. But there's a secret to being 80 that nobody tells you until you arrive. When almost everything and everyone has been stripped away, what's left isn't a big empty hole. What's left is the truth. If you're younger than I am, lean in a little. If you're my age, pull up a chair beside me. Today I want to talk about the things that don't leave, the things that remain when the house is still and the phone no longer rings. This is what's left. The first thing I've learned is that we never truly own anything or anyone. In my 40s and 50s, I believed my life was the sum of what I had built: my work, my home, my good name. I guarded those things like they were carved in stone. But at 80, I look down at my hands and see that they're empty. And I've made peace with that. I've watched the houses I lived in pass to strangers. I've seen whatever legacy I had at work fade from the memory of people who hadn't even been born when I retired. None of that really stays. What endures isn't the plaque on the wall. It's the character you hammered into shape while trying to earn it. I've come to understand that the people we love are only ever on loan. We don't possess our spouses or our children. We are caretakers of their time for a short while. When you stop clinging to people and instead simply experience them, grief changes. It stops feeling like you were robbed and starts feeling like you were blessed to borrow them at all. What endures is the love you give away. That's the one thing that doesn't rust, doesn't mold, and doesn't end up on a folding table at an estate sale. When you're young, you wait for the big moments: the wedding, the promotion, the dream vacation. Your eyes live on the horizon. I spent years like that. It took me a long time to see that life isn't made of mountaintops. It's made of the path between them. If I could wind the clock back, I wouldn't chase more achievements. I'd chase more awareness. I'd sit a little longer over a simple cup of coffee. I'd listen more carefully to the birds outside my window. In the end, what remains is a pile of small, quiet, beautiful nothings that turned out to be everything. One of the hardest parts of watching everyone leave is the solitude that follows. We were raised to stay busy, to fill every gap with doing. But after the kids moved out and the funerals started to outnumber the weddings, I found myself alone with a stranger: myself. Most people spend their lives running from that stranger. They use work, noise, and other people to muffle their own thoughts. By 80, your body doesn't let you run much anymore. Your knees protest. So you sit. And in all that sitting, I found a strength I never knew I had. What survives is your inner stronghold. If you haven't built a relationship with yourself, Old age can feel like a haunted house, but if you have, it becomes a refuge. I've learned that I am enough company. I've learned to forgive the man I was at 25, and again at 50. What remains is a gentle truce with the face staring back from the mirror. You realize, eventually, that you were your own best friend the whole time. You just didn't recognize him. People sometimes ask if I have regrets. Of course I do. Only liars or fools say they don't. But at 80, I see clearly that there's a difference between regret and remorse. I regret the chances I was too scared to take. I regret the "I love yous" I swallowed because pride had its hands around my throat. But what hurts the most, what really lingers, is remorse for the moments I wasn't kind. We spend so much of our lives trying to be right. We argue, we cling to grudges, we armor our egos. And then, one by one, the names in your address book get crossed out, and you finally see that being right is the loneliest triumph there is. What endures is the understanding that kindness was always the right answer, no matter the fight. If there is someone you can call today, call them. Not to prove a point or settle an old score, but simply to say, "I'm glad you're here." Because one day they won't be, and whatever you were fighting about won't matter in the slightest. There is a strange kind of grace in watching the world move on without you. I see teenagers with their screens, their slang I can't decipher, their constant jittery urgency. At first it stung. I felt abandoned, like the world was racing ahead and leaving me in the dust. Then I realized that's exactly what's supposed to happen. What remains for me now is the role of witness. I am here to see the wheel keep turning. I look into my grandson's eyes and see my father looking back at me. I understand that I am just one stitch in an endless tapestry. My job now isn't to march at the front of the parade, it's to clap and smile from the curb. Letting go of the need to be important is a tremendous relief. What endures is the quiet joy of watching life renew itself, knowing that a thread of my story is woven into those who come after me. So what is left when everyone has gone? Gratitude. A fierce, almost unbearable gratitude for the sheer unlikeliness of it all. That I got to exist at all. That I got to love, even when I had to lose. That I was given roughly 29,200 sunrises to open my eyes and see the light. I'm 80 now, and I'm no longer afraid of the dark. I've come to see that the light doesn't really disappear. It just slips into the next room. If you're hearing this, don't wait until you're 80 to look for what lasts. Look for it now. It's in the breath you just drew. It's in the person sitting across from you. It's in the stillness at the center of your own chest. Thank you for keeping me company on this porch for a while. If this touched something in you, share it with someone you love. Subscribe if you'd like to join me for more reflections on this journey of life, and leave a comment for me. What is one thing you've learned to cherish as you've grown older? I read every single one. They make this old house feel a little less quiet.